Good afternoon, traders. It is Friday, November 21st, 2014, and the U.S. stock market is closed. Well, I had such a frustrating day today that I had a kind of out-of-body experience. And consequently, I'm not on camera today, don't worry. But next week I'll be here again. But I'm just going to have to do the charts today. And you are going to have to trust that I really am okay. Today was an extremely frustrating day today. We had about $2,200 in open trade equity on the close on Thursday yesterday. And by this morning, first thing in the morning, it looked like this was going to be just an absolutely fabulous day, because that $2,200 grew to about $22,000 right after the open this morning. And again, this was one of those days where, if I'd just only known and pulled the plug at that time, and gone fishing for the rest of the day, we would have done just fabulously. Unfortunately, we trade a system, and I have to sit there and wait. And today, the waiting was really painful. You're looking here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and I think you can probably see what happened. Anyway, that $22,000 that we had shortly after the open shrank and shrank and shrank, and eventually by the time we got out, it was about $8,000 that we actually took out in positive closed out trades. Now that would be pretty frustrating to go from $22,000 positive to $8,000 positive. That would definitely be frustrating, but added to this, we got into a lot of bad stuff that didn't go very well for us, and we ended up carrying negative $8,000 into, over the weekend in open trade going into next Monday. So, you lose or you make $8,000 in closed out trades, but you carry negative $8,000 in open trade. I guess that translates into a break-even day. And I can't think of when I had a break-even day that was quite as frustrating as this was. Anyway, here's the chart, and you can see what happened this morning. The Dow takes off absolutely screaming all the way here to the top, and we were up, it was over 150 points when we were up here at the top. And then, the thing just starts to slide, and it slides all day long until it gets down here. And I think, maybe we're about positive 50, about there. And then it comes back a little, ends up closing up 91. Well, of course, that is an all-time record high, no question about it. I mean, this was the all-time record high before, and obviously this thing just screamed through it and then pulls back, but still we're way above the all-time record high from 3 days ago. So it was a record high for the day. But you know what happens when we have these kinds of days is that we end up buying in this area, and then as everything pulls back, it goes against us, and that's where this negative $8,000 is coming from. So, talking about a rough day, this has to be it. It's just, and again, I am spooked by new record highs in the Dow, because we just seem to have problems on those kinds of days, and today was no exception. I will show you just a couple of the individual stocks to show you just how frustrating this was. This first one here is in CPE, which is Callon Petroleum, and talking about a frustrating trade. This was we got into this yesterday. It went very nicely in our favor and closed quite nicely here, but then it gaps up very nicely this morning. And when we were up here, we were up over $5,000, but then of course it fades with the rest of the market. But this isn't too bad. We still took out over $3,000 in Callon Petroleum. So this was not too bad, although we would have liked to have seen it up here. But now I'll show you one that was even more frustrating than that, and that was our old friend JRJC, China Finance Online. This has been a great market for us, but you know, I'm learning that with China Finance Online, when you get good profits, you ought to just take them, because things can change very quickly, and that certainly happened today. We got into this yesterday, and it closed slightly against us right here, and then we had this huge gap up, and this and you know, up here in this gap area, JRJC was over $5,000 profitable for us, but then it just started sliding with everything we had. Did the same thing, and it just slide. So we went from positive $5,000 up here to about positive about $900. So we gave up over $4,000 in JRJC alone. And this tended to happen with all our markets. Unbelievably, today when we did close out, we only had 2 negatives and I think maybe 12 positives or 11 positives, but it's still, everything went from being really good to being just, you know, a few $100s like this. And when you added it all up, we only had $8,000 positive closed out, whereas if we closed out certainly after open, we would have had over $20,000. So we didn't lose money today, folks, but it was frustrating and not a really great way to end of the week. But we're traders, we're tough, we can take it. And this is Trader Bob signing off. You guys have a great weekend. I'll see you on Monday.